Well, good morning and welcome to another Angling Direct Quick Bite. And this morning I'm going to talk through a rig that once played a huge part in my carp fishing, and it still does play a part today, and that's the Chod Rig. Now, I know the Chod Rig isn't as popular now because rigs such as Righty rigs and spinner rigs have kind of overtaken in popularity, but without a doubt Chod rigs catch fish. And I think the reason they catch so many fish is how versatile they are. Whether you're fishing in silt, over light weed, casting to show and fish, wherever you cast that rig is going to present that bait perfectly. So what is a Chod Rig? A Chod Rig is a very aggressive pop-up rig. You're fishing a very short hook link made out of stiff bristle filament, and the best way to describe that hook link is almost like an extension of the shank of the hook, and it sits up off the bottom almost like a claw. Then that's fished helicopter style, and you've got two choices. You can either fish it straight on your main line that we call a naked Chod Rig, which is in fact what I'm doing today, and it's probably the version that I use more often just because the fisheries I'm fishing at the moment have leader bands. But alternatively, you can fish it on lead core. You can buy a ready-made lead core leader, you can buy the ready-made chods, combine those two products together and you're fishing straight away. And if you want to know how to tie that naked Chod Rig, I'll put a link in the description below showing exactly how that's done. Now, as I've already mentioned, this is a way of presenting a pop-up, but what I haven't mentioned is the importance of a very buoyant hook bait. And you might be thinking, well, all pop-ups are buoyant, but some pop-ups are more buoyant than others. So something such as a cork ball pop-up will be buoyant for long periods of time and is perfect. Other than that, the plus range of pop-ups from CC Moore, that plus stands for extra buoyancy, so they're also perfect hook baits for Chod rigs. And for me, I tend to use chods when I'm just boilie fishing. And the reason for that, I like to fish a nice spread of boilies with my chods sitting amongst that spread of boilies. If you imagine when those carp feed on individual freebies, they're moving from one bait to another until they eventually come across that aggressive hook bait. And the mechanics of the rig mean when they tip down and lift up with your hook bait, you get a screaming take every time. So lastly, I want to talk about the safety of this rig, and provided you tie it properly, it's a super safe rig. The most important aspect of this rig is that top bead. That top bead must pull free, releasing that little hook link if you're unfortunate enough to crack off or snap off on a fish. Whether you want to drop the lead or not on the bottom of the rig, well, that doesn't really matter. Perhaps if you're fishing a really weedy lake and it's going to be the difference between landing the fish or not, dropping that lead can make it a little bit easier to get a carp in a weedy lake. And for me, don't forget chod fishing. I know modern day carp fishing, we're all obsessed with fishing spinner rigs and Righty rigs on those perfect bits of gravel, but believe it or not, carp do like feeding over light weed. They do like feeding in the silt, and sometimes them less pressured areas like that can be more productive if you're brave enough to fish them. So this rig's perfect for fishing on all different types of debris, weed, silt. You can fish it on gravel. Get those chod rigs out and get yourself some extra bites.